at least the pepper mill. When this big plantation, when you chop it, it's going to be a problem. But for rice alone, I mean, even if you have only 2 hectares, we have farmers who has only 2 hectares. By planting hybrid, they're able to buy hand tractors and his only daughter through college, buy 3 tricycles, pangpasada, and all of these things. They can make more than 100,000+ pesos per hectare. So with 2 hectares, they make more than 200,000. That's why I think for carp, as far as rice is concerned, I think it's still okay.
Okay, you can text us any questions or comments regarding our discussions this morning. The number is 0915-209-6012. So our hotline number is 0915-209-6012. You can text any question to Mr. Lim or later to Mr. Escosa regarding today's discussions. Anyway, sir, so I guess the problem here is a problem of exposure. You have to not only educate the farmers, but you have to let them know that the product is there. So how about the farmers in the hinterlands? Can you reach them? I mean, it's been said that earlier when we were talking that places like the Banawi rice terraces is being abandoned now because farmers are going elsewhere. So there is, I guess, the paradigm or the mentality of a lot of Filipino farmers that they want to do other things. They want to go elsewhere. They want to go to the urban areas. So what do you think about that?
Well, you know, for upland, using the varieties, the yield is very, very low. You cannot even yield 1.5 tons per hectare. Mm-hmm. So it's very difficult for them to make money. But then, of course, if there are some enterprising entrepreneurs who would try to brand those upland rice as organic, as whatever, that they can sell maybe 2 times or 3 times more. That's the only thing that they can really make money.
So this is specialized rice. This is not mass production rice.
Yeah, they can really, just like what we are saying about basmati. Basmati is a very good rice, but it's only grown in the borders with Punjab Valley, bordering between Pakistan and India. That's the best place for you to really plant basmati. But of course, a lot of people are trying to use the basmati variety to plant everywhere and try to call it basmati. And I think right now we are trying to produce basmati here, and I think the Indian government is cautioning us not to use the basmati brand already because I think they own the brand. So those are the things that you really have to think of how to package it.
It was also mentioned that the thrust of the current administration is towards organic farming and these things. Although we have nothing against them, or that kind of crops that were farmed organically. But we know this is expensive, and we know quantitatively you cannot achieve that kind of yield, especially when you have such a large population.
You know, when I talk to the U.S. agriculture attaché here in the Philippines, they're telling me that the U.S. no more than 5% of the farmland are using pure organic fertilizers because organic is only for a niche market. You know, in the Philippines, we are not against organic, but it should be at least a combination of both organic and chemical fertilizers because pure organic cannot give you all the nutrients that the rice plants will be needing. But of course, if you are talking about healthy, whatever, you want to use pure organic, I mean, that's your call, but of course the yield would be much lower. And maybe, of course, you said that you can even sell it higher. But then you should remember in the Philippines, there's no agency really checking whether this is really pure organic or not. For a rice to be pure organic, the land should be free of any chemical residues, at least for the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. And I don't think those rice that you saw in the market, that branding themselves as organic, has really that kind of intense verification from any agency at all.
Okay. Maybe we should ask Mr. Escosa regarding one factor that is, according to a lot of experts, is one of the biggest obstacles of agricultural productivity, that a lot of our farmers do not want to be farmers. Do you have a study on that? They would rather be something else. They would rather be domestic helpers. They would rather be OFWs or something, but not in the agriculture sector.
No, we don't have a particular study on agriculture, but what we do have is a study that we've done on SMEs. And unfortunately, most people tend to think that becoming an SME or a small, medium company is the way out of employment. Unfortunately, the statistics on SMEs are not that great. Out of the 800 SMEs that are in existence today, half will disappear, or 400,000 will disappear within the next 3 years. They'll go bankrupt, they'll close shop or whatever. Out of the remaining, only 1 in 15 will make it past year 5. And a lot of it is because of people tend to underestimate what it takes in order to become a successful business owner.
So they think it's easy, basically.
They think it's easy.
All you need is a general idea.
And it's not.
And the courage, or maybe a little bit of capital.
Yes.
So they end up disappointed.
They end up disappointed and, unfortunately, losing everything that they have sunk into the business. So 560,000 businesses start their business from scratch with no background in terms of business. So they underestimate the need for controlling cost, having good processes, and increasing revenue. Revenue is not the same as margin. And what you eventually live with is margin, which is revenue less cost.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sir. You are the leading proponent of hybrid rice. So basically, you're not just selling seeds. You're not just selling the end product, the rice, to your customers or even to the producers of rice. Basically, you're selling a sort of SME.
Yes.
You're teaching them a way to go about their business, because planting should be or farming should be treated as a business. So what are the problems there? Do you have a hard time convincing the farmers to make the change? Is it because they're very traditional, or because is it a lack of technical know-how? Where do you find the greatest resistance?
Miguel, no, the greatest resistance lies on the old farmers, actually. But then, I'll give you an example. There's one farmer, he's only 21 years old, fresh out of college. He has 23 hectares Minana from, not really Minana, from his auntie, but because his auntie is a chambermaid working in Italy. So she left the 23 hectares to his care. So he planted the 23 hectares all with SL8. And then after 1 season, he makes a net profit of 2.5 million pesos. Can you imagine that? And then, of course, when I met him, he was saying, he was applying for a passport. He was saying that his auntie gave him half of that. He has 1.25 million pesos, and he's going to Hong Kong for shopping. And, these are the younger people. It's easier for them to convince for new technology. The older one, of course, you can convince them. With another example, that we have a harvest festival. There's a farmers, and then when I saw that he has a grandson, 6 years old, the grandson was there in the open field making gapas with us on those. And then he's saying, "Oh, this is going to be the new farmer." Because he's making a lot of money already. That's why he said he's going to ask his grandson to tend the farm.
Okay, we have a texted-in question. Although I have to remind our viewers, please text us at least your first name and where you came from. Okay, so do you think that hybrid rice is the answer for the Philippines to achieve self-sufficiency, and how?
Definitely. Hybrid rice is the shortest way for us to achieve self-sufficiency. Of course, trying to do irrigation. I was always telling that we should have short-term, medium-term, and long-term. The shortest term is to plant everything with hybrid rices, because in 1 or 2 years, we can produce enough seeds for us to cover how many hectares that the government will be needing. But in order for you to do irrigation, putting up dikes, whatever, it'll take you 4 or 5 years. That's going to take a long time. So definitely, I was saying that if we have 800,000 hectares planted to hybrid, we'll be self-sufficient. More than 800,000 hectares out of 4 million hectares planted to hybrid, we'll be exporting our rice.
And how long can that be achieved? How many years does it take?
If the government would really do it, we can do it in a span of 2 years' time. Because, as I said, before 2004, do you know how we were able to increase to 200,000 hectares very easily? Because what they did is that the government buy my seeds, and they sell it to the farmers at subsidized price. Now, when the farmers get the seeds from the government, and because they thought it's $1, nobody's paying actually, at least when they get it, at the end of the day, they plant it. If they planted it, sabi ko, panalo na tayo eh. Because they planted it then they'll be producing more rice, then we'll be importing less. And that should be the case.
Okay, I mentioned earlier in the show that we now have a correspondent based in London who will be reporting about the adventures and about the life, basically, of Filipinos based in the United Kingdom and later on probably in the rest of Europe. Miss Joy Mesina, who is a mass comm graduate here, graduated cum laude and was a segment producer in another station, who will be giving us weekly updates regarding the Olympics, because that's where they're going to be holding the Olympic Games and a lot of other things, very interesting things. So here is Joy Mesina's report, which we have named UK Report.
This is Oxford Street, London's leading luxury shopping destination and Europe's busiest shopping district. It has become busier because of the upcoming Olympics 15 days from now. British flags and flags of participating countries are lining up the street, attracting more tourists. There are also advertising campaign banners promoting Great Britain's fashion industry.
I would guess this is going to be a huge moneymaker for London, definitely in the short term, but potentially even in the long term.
The Olympics have definitely been a huge advertising revenue generator. There's no question. I mean, pretty much every major UK brand and global brand has gotten on the Olympic bandwagon. So I think from an advertising perspective, it's a slam dunk.
While the UK government is so positive about the economic benefits of the Olympics, there are some locals who are skeptical about it.
I'm really not convinced that there will be an overall economic benefit, and they've spent a lot of money on infrastructure that they don't know what they will do with that infrastructure after the Games. And all of this is happening at a time when the whole of Europe is broke.
It is said that Olympics will help create more jobs and will boost the economy of Great Britain by £16.5 billion. For Practical Business, this is Joy Mesina, London.
Okay, this segment is brought to us by Globe, and we have Mr. Manny Escosa, who will tell us something about a study that Globe has conducted regarding entrepreneurship in the Philippines. We've all been brought up to believe that someday we should put up a business of our own and make a lot of money, be our own bosses, buy the stuff we want, buy our house, buy our car. So what you seem to be telling us is this is rose-colored glasses, meaning to say the statistics, and these are numbers, so it's pretty hard to contest. That's a bit dismal.
Yes.
Okay.
And actually, what we've actually done with Globe in order to do this study is to really see how we can help the SMEs survive. Because as you said, the statistics are dismal. I think the first step is people really need to know what they're getting into when they become SMEs or when they go into their own business. And it all boils down to being able to manage three things: cost, get a process in, and increase your revenues. We've actually done this to see whether we can have products which would actually help the SME across all three processes. So in terms of cost containment, we actually, for example, and I'm not sure whether a lot of people are aware of this, that if you're a business owner, you can actually get all of the Globe services for nearly half of what they cost versus availing of it as a consumer. All you have to do is prove that you are a business owner. So in terms of cost containment, that's one easy win, so to speak. In terms of, for example, getting a revenue stream, there are a lot of people who have cell phones. In fact, 94 million people of the Philippines, close to 70–80% of them already, or 90%, have a cell phone.
Okay.
And yet, less than 100 SMEs do a lot of the text messaging to really legitimately push their business. In Makati, for example, the population swells to a big amount during the daytime. And at that particular point in time, when you're having lunch, people are wondering, where can I have lunch? That's an easy market for people to push them, that there are lunch places, that there are lunch promotions, and you don't have to text all of these people one by one, and it doesn't even have to look like a scam or a fraud. We actually have a product which can text a lot of people all at once, as much as 45 to 60,000 people in one blast. Imagine the time spent if you were to just text them individually. Or imagine the time and cost spent if you were to produce flyers to just distribute them during lunchtime, rather than sending them all to all the telephones that are out there during this specific period of the day.
A lot of people are somewhat dubious about these text blasts because I personally receive a lot of them. Some of them are from politicians who sort of want the public to know their many accomplishments. On the other hand, there is this text that has been going around. Someone is apparently soliciting for prepaid loads.
Yes.
So this is a problem. So I guess this causes some sort of a negativity on the part of your subscribers. How do you correct that thing?
The service that we offer is secure, and in fact, to prevent it from being seen